LaMonte Wade Jr. has earned the benefit of the doubt. The Giants have 2 closers, not 0, and also Willy Adames did not just forget how to play baseball.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites, Beyond the Box Score and Rotographs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, hosting the show for over 6 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, so check us out there if you have not already, and please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you are following the show. And coming up on today's show, it is a mailbag edition. It is like Fan Friday, where we are taking your questions. We had, I believe it was 67 questions. It's always difficult to get them all compiled, and so I've been taking screenshots, uploading them to ChatGPT, and having ChatGPT copy them all out and kind of group questions together that are similar. So sometimes it makes some weird, wonky mistakes. So if your question is not read verbatim, that's why. But jumping right in, the first set of questions are about LaMonte Wade Jr. And basically, Jason sums it up, as does Niners Giants. Jason says, how long are the Giants going to stick with LaMonte at first base and at 6th in the lineup? And then Niners Giants says, should the Giants DFA Wade, give a month of starts to VR, then Casey, then trade for a stopgap first baseman at the break? So some version of this comes up every single year, where it's a player who has a track record, who is struggling, and the questions are, when are they going to get rid of this guy? And my response to that is that it's too early. He's played in 22 games. He has had stretches like this in his career before. In fact, in the last couple of years, he hasn't had a stretch quite like this, although in like August of last year, he had a stretch where he was really bad. So it has been a rough start. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the numbers are ugly, like very ugly. We're talking an 0.94 average. Thankfully, his walk rate is almost identical to last year's, 15.4%. That's going to be among the leaders in baseball, which is kind of amazing when a guy's not hitting and yet he's still able to walk, because you would think pitchers would just attack you to no end when you're struggling and you wouldn't walk, but he's still been able to walk. That walk rate ranks, I'm not sure he qualifies because I'm not seeing his name. What is it? 15.4%. That would be like 19th in all of baseball if he qualified. So it's very high. So the average is 0.94. That's very low, obviously. The slugging is 219. So that seems like a low number, but it's actually like decent when you consider the batting average is 0.94, because slugging is really affected by batting average. Also, he's been unlucky, not to the point where it's like he should be really good. It's that there's a significant unluckiness factor. And if you just have watched every at-bat that he's taken this year, you've seen it. He's hit a lot of balls hard that have been caught. It's just a fact. He has a 212 weighted on base average, which is bad. But the expected weighted on base average is 287. And so that's not great, but that's not terrible. I mean, it's certainly below average, but it's not in atrocious range. And so in general, there's nothing I really see that, I mean, he's striking out more, I guess. His career strikeout rate is 20.9%. This year it's up at 26.9%, but His outside the zone swing rate remains excellent, under 20%. His zone contact rate remains pretty consistent. It's 88.5%, whereas in his career, it's 89.2%. So the only thing that's not happening is batting average on balls in play. And I do not want to come on here and just say that that's a luck thing. It can just be you're not hitting the ball well. And I mean, he's hitting the ball better than the numbers show, but not great. And so the batting average on balls in play is 116. And in his career, it's 280. And so with players like this, with a track record of almost 2,000 plate appearances, he got 1,743, over 500 games played. You just simply, to me, do not react to the most recent 22 games as if they are the only thing that matters. Like, even if we just say, forget about his whole career except last year and this year. If you combine last year and this year, he's got an above average slash line of a 233 average, which is like meh, but a 356 on base percentage and a 354 slugging. So it's meh on the average, it's meh on the slug, but the on base is above average, and so overall it comes out to an above average line. And you know, he's a platoon player, and he has been getting platooned in starts, but I don't know that they've always been taking him out in games because they don't have a great, answer. Like ideally Wilmer Flores is able to come off the bench and hit for him, but because of the injury to Gerard Encarnacion, they're kind of like rolling with, otherwise you're just going to see pinch hit opportunities go to David Villar, and LaMonte Wade Jr. has that track record of performance at the major league level, and Villar just simply doesn't have that. And so could you see a little bit more of it? Perhaps. But the questions are ultimately like, how long are the Giants going to stick with him at first base and sixth in the lineup? And to me, maybe about double this long, like before you would seriously consider doing something. The rule of thumb in baseball analytics is kind of 45 games, maybe even like 60 games before you have a pretty good idea of something with a team and with a player. And we're talking about halfway there for Lamont. So I would expect the next 22 games, like you can write this down, circle back to me when Lamont has 45 games played as opposed to 22, because he's as close to halfway there as you can be, that the second set of 22 is going to be much more normal and Lamont-like than these first 22. He's just done it too long. It's not like he's 40 years old. He just turned 31 in January. There's no reason that he should just suddenly be terrible. Not that he was ever a star, but he certainly can be pretty darn good. I think the at-bat quality is good. The contact quality just has not necessarily been there, and there's been more strikeouts than we're used to. And then in terms of hitting him sixth, the thing is, this Giants team is scoring a bunch of runs, and I wouldn't worry too much about the lineup. I also wouldn't complain too much if they dropped him down. But there's also guys below him who are struggling in the lineup too. Like Patrick Bailey is struggling even worse. One guy I'd like to see moved up is Tyler Fitzgerald, but part of the reason Wade is where he is because of they're trying to break up lefties and righties, so it's not too easy for opposing managers to get matchups with bullpens and just bring in a righty for like a string of 4 straight righties. You want to kind of break that up and get Wade in the middle, and that is because Melvin, I think, rightfully believes that at any given moment LaMonte Wade Jr. is going to be LaMonte Wade Jr. and not the LaMonte Wade Jr. of a 22-game sample to start the 2025 season. So to me, it's like no problem, but if you could find a way to not have like 4 or 5 righties in a row and drop Wade down, sure. But I think he may have hit 7th in the most recent games, so there is a little move perhaps being made there. But they've got a lot of right-handed hitters, and then some of their lefties outside of Yaz and Jung-Hoo Lee, basically everybody else. Well, it's just Wade and Bailey as a switch hitter. They're both really struggling. So it's tough you don't want to have them both at the bottom, because then you've got a string of a lot of righties in a row, and that gets a little bit vulnerable for matchups. So the last question, the final part of it, was DFA Wade. No, I'm not DFAing LaMonte Wade Jr. making whatever he's making this year in the final year of his contract, $5 million. There's just no upside to doing that, and there's not a great solution. Like, that is a huge part of this. Is like, it'd be one thing if Bryce Eldridge was like tearing it up in AAA for 2 months, and then you call him up and then see what he can do and then make a move. But you don't just DFA a guy with a track record like this and go with a bunch of unproven guys, especially when you're 17-9 and competing. So that's my take on that. We will get to, do the Giants have 2 closers or no closers? The controversy in just a minute. And before we get into it, today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports, College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming devices, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. And add that with the Xbox thing, and it's just an incredible package. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. All right, as promised, more questions and answers. We've addressed LaMonte Wade Jr. He's going to go out there and have a good game tonight. I'm calling it now. Are the Giants facing a lefty? I hope not. I don't think so. They're playing the Rangers. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. No, it's Nathan Eovaldi who's having a nice season. So maybe I picked the wrong day to say that. But I believe in Wade. Like, I believe in track records more so than I believe in small samples. But there's also a question about the bullpen, because that has not played out as expected at all either. The Giants bullpen has overall been very good. If you just look at the relief pitching ERA by the Giants this year, oops, I'm accidentally looking at team or individual player ERAs, but the Giants bullpen ERA is 3rd in baseball with a 2.53 ERA. Their fielding independent pitching 3.51. That's 12th, or no, 13th. Tied for, well, I guess probably fractionally behind the Dodgers at 3.51. And I don't know, just looking at the numbers, Ryan Walker has an ERA of 7.27, which is the highest on the staff. And Doval is at 2.25. Spencer Bivens also at 2.25. And then just Lou Trevino and Walker are the only guys worse than 2.25 out of this bullpen. So the Giants bullpen has overall done an incredible job outside of Lou Trevino and Ryan Walker, who I believe in. Certainly, it's the same kind of deal. We're talking about 8 2/3 innings. With pitchers, it's a little different. You can clearly, well, I guess it's kind of the same with hitters. Like, you can just tell when they're off. And Ryan Walker has just been off. The command has been kind of poor. If you look at actually, this stuff plus metric that you can find on Fangraphs, the stuff has been really good. The slider, the sinker, those are his 2 pitches, and they both have graded as well above average, but the location has not. And I think it's not really reflected in the walk rate. which is just 4.9%. But we've seen him fall behind in counts, have the slider, he basically can't use it at times because he can't control it and throw it for strikes. And so, yeah, I mean, his slider usage is way down. I think that's because he's at times just not been able to command it. And so when you only have one pitch, that's a problem. His whole deal is like being able to crisscross his two pitches where the sinker kind of looks like it's away and then it comes in on a righty, and the slider looks like it's behind a righty and then goes darting away from them. So he's struggled in like 2 outings, basically. He struggled in Anaheim, blew that save, which was a big, tough loss. But before that point, he had allowed 1 run in 8 innings. And his strikeout rate still wasn't good, but he allowed a run on opening day and nothing since. But then he's allowed 6 runs in his last 2/3 of an inning, spanning 2 outings in which he only got 1 out. Faced 11 hitters, got 1 out each. 2 outs, 11 hitters. So 9 guys reaching base, a couple hit by pitches, only 1 walk, but 6 hits and 2 hit by pitches. So anyway, do the Giants have the question is, do they have 2 closers or 1? And I suppose I should read who these questions are from. Don says, is Doval the closer now, or will it be a hot hand approach between him and Walker? And then DH says, does the team have 2 closers or no closers? So Camilo Doval is inconsistent, to say the least, and kind of an oddly similar story to Walker in that he's not striking people out at his normal rate this season. I would chalk that up to just small sample weirdness, and that you'll see outings in which they strike everybody out and then all of a sudden it'll be normal looking. But Doval has gotten the job done more effectively. He's got a 2.25 ERA, 2.75 expected ERA, 3.19 fielding independent pitching, whereas for Walker, it's weirder, 7.27 ERA, 4.25 expected ERA, 2.90 fielding independent pitching. So those are 3 drastically different numbers, and oftentimes those numbers are going to end up kind of aligning. So when there's just a huge discrepancy between them all, that often is small sample weirdness. And for Walker, ultimately, to just cut to the chase, I do think it'll be a hot hand approach. But Camilo Doval has worked, I think, 3 out of the last 4 days. And so Bob Melvin said if there's a save situation tonight, Friday night against the Rangers, they're going to go with Ryan Walker. And I have no problem with that. The one thing I have a problem with is that Randy Rodriguez is not being used enough, in my opinion, and that he could be a candidate to step in, because Doval has not made these situations easy himself, to the point of, do they have no closers? They've got, Tyler Rogers could close games. He's been very, very good, as usual. And I think Randy Rodriguez, given a bigger role, could potentially, he has closer stuff. Rogers, by the way, 0.68 ERA, 2.06 expected ERA. This is one of the most underrated pitchers by Giants fans, I think, in recent memory. It's like the Brandon Belt of pitchers. Just gets the job done. 2.85 career ERA with the Giants in 360 innings. What more could you really ask for? 2.85 ERA in 360 innings. And that's a lot of innings. He consistently throws over 70 innings a year. So he's a workhorse and he prevents runs. So anyway, I'm fine with any of these guys closing games, but I also like that Bob Melvin took Walker out, because at the end of the day, you got to get the job done. Don't worry about loyalties and all that. You got to win the game. But I'd like to see them mix in. They're often using Tyler Rogers in the 8th, so he's obviously not available by the 9th. But Randy Rodriguez has not been given any kind of real leverage situations. He's coming in often Bob Melvin has decided he's the guy to go to with runners on base to try to get out of a jam. But I don't know. I feel like this bullpen has plenty of arms who are capable of doing that. Some guys just really prefer not to come into an existing inning, and it could just be that Rodriguez is like the guy who says he's fine with it. But I don't know. When you're having trouble in the ninth and you have an arm like Randy Rodriguez who's just not getting that opportunity, it just makes it stand out to me that I would like to see him get some more opportunities. I think he's earned it. And Spencer Bivens has pitched well enough to kind of be that guy, perhaps, to come into an existing inning that is looking like a threat. But also they're using him as the long guy. But then you've also got Hayden Birdsong, who can function as a long guy. So I like the makeup of their bullpen. It's just gotten a little weird in the ninth. But ultimately, I think the answer is the hot hand approach is what they're going to do, but they're also not going to overtax guys. Like if Doval's pitched in 3 out of 4 games, just because he may be the quote hot hand, even though his last outing was dicey, they have enough faith in Walker to just send him back out there and hope that he finds his command. But I would have Randy Rodriguez ready to go if you haven't used him earlier in the game to clean up a mess in the ninth if one of these guys, Doval or Walker, is struggling and the other is not available to come in and save the day. So the next round of questions are about Heliot Ramos, Patrick Bailey, and Willy Adames. Did all 3 of these guys forget how to hit? We'll get into it in just a minute. And before we do, all right, as promised, did Willy Adames, Patrick Bailey, and Heliot Ramos forget how to hit a baseball? We'll break it down in just a minute. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers, on Monday, we'll be breaking down 3 more games, the final 3 games before the Giants finally get an off day, facing the Texas Rangers. Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers coming in off a tough loss to the A's, where they gave up a couple of runs in the bottom of the ninth to get walked off. So hopefully the Giants can keep them down while they're down, kick them while they're down, and win another series. So everydayers will be breaking it down, the series, on Monday. So the next round of questions, first from Richard: how much runway should Heliot Ramos realistically get? Luke says, is Elliott cooked? TB Zill says, what is wrong with Bailey, Ramos, Adames? And Bearer Bond says, Willy Adames is in the 5th percentile in every part of his game. When do we get concerned? So there's a lot here to unpack. But the question about Heliot Ramos, this is different, because I'm not just going to blindly defend every single player who's on the Giants and just say, don't worry about it. Because what's different with Ramos versus LaMonte Wade is that Ramos does not have that long track record like Wade does. Wade has over 500 games in the major leagues, and he's in his career been 10% above average offensively. Ramos has 181 games, 715 plate appearances, 1,000 fewer than Ramos. And Ramos in his career, he's been 4% above average just based on 2024 alone. All the other years he's been below average, including so far this year. And the expected numbers line up with the actual numbers. He's hitting 226, 278 on base, 377 slugging. 26.1% strikeout rate is identical to last year. The big difference is, isolated power is down 50 points, but it's still average, major league average. And the huge difference is that the batting average on balls in play was 329 last year, and it's only 284 this year. But in his career, it's 310. And so if you can bump that up 25 points, that'll add 25 points of batting average, 25 points of on base, and things would be looking a lot better if you're hitting 250 with a 320 or 15 on base percentage and a 400 slugging or something, that would look a lot better. And so what is the original question? How much runway should Ramos realistically get? Well, I'd give him probably even longer than LaMonte Wade because he is more important to the long-term health of the organization. I think someone who's more at risk of losing a roster spot, at least temporarily, is probably Luis Matos, who has really struggled like dramatically more than Heliot Ramos. And I think Ramos did enough last year in 121 games to warrant a pretty extended look this year. And because he's only 25 and because he would be a free agent not until after the 2029 season, it is worth riding this out. He's also out of options. You can't send him down. And so they're going to let him go. Like, he's going to have a long time to try to figure this out. But eventually, if he just struggles and struggles and struggles and struggles, then maybe you reevaluate. But how long? I mean, I'd give him probably until sometime in the summer months of like June, July to see where he's at then. You know, if you got to hit him like 8th or something and just hide him down there, so be it. But I would just let him try to figure it out, but not necessarily rely on him to hit leadoff against lefties and 5th against righties, because it's just after a really hot first 7-8 games, he has definitely cooled off here. But I don't know. I think his at-bats have started to get better again, and that's just baseball. And so moving on to other players mentioned here, Patrick Bailey, it's definitely been a major struggle for him, like major. His at-bats are just kind of, he's like an automatic out is what it looks like. He is hitting 167, 222 on base, 258 slugging. It's concerning. And the biggest thing is the strikeout rate. In his, last year it was 22%. This year right now it's 36%. And so that's a huge jump. And he's not chasing more. He's just not making contact. His zone contact rate last year was 88%. This year it's 72%. So pitches in the strike zone, I don't have it pulled up about pitches out of the strike zone. Here it is. Last couple years around 50% out of the zone contact rate. This year 37.5%. So just contact in general, 79% last year when he swung. This year 62%. So a 17-point drop in contact on swings, 17 percentage point, is dramatic. But the thing is, he's such a good defender that he's going to be given, like, I don't want to say infinite leash, but he's in no imminent danger. I mean, what are you going to do? Turn over the position to Sam Huff, who's also struggled? No. So Bailey, it's kind of like Yadier Molina. It doesn't really matter if he hits. Like, hitting is just gravy for Bailey, but it'd be nice if he was at least okay, or at least like somewhat bad, as opposed to atrocious at the plate. And so far he's been atrocious. And that's why I'm saying you've got like Wade. Wade actually has a track record of being above average. Bailey's been in his career 25% below average offensively, but so good defensively that it still has him as a very good player. That's the value of being a good defensive catcher. So hopefully Bailey can turn it around, but it's been tough to watch so far. Hey, saved the day on opening day with that tying hit with 2 outs in the 9th. But Adames finally is the last guy we're going to get to here. And yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't buy like the defensive metrics being so down on Adames. If you look at Fangraphs, defensive runs saved at -6, outs above average at -4. That's not really what I've seen. He hasn't been perfect out there, but I haven't seen like awful defense. He made a really nice play, I think it was yesterday, diving to his left, got up, has a cannon of an arm. Also, this is like big time track record thing. Big time. He's only been 8% above average offensively in his career. So it's not like he's been a way above average bat. So if the defense does like disappear, then it is a little concerning because it's not like he's a monster offensively. I must say the at-bat quality has gotten a lot better. One of the big things is he just hasn't hit for any power to speak of yet. His isolated power is just 067, whereas in his career it's 192. So these are the kind of things where I say, okay, well, that's going to creep back up to his career norm. Like players very rarely do they just at age 29, like just forget how to play baseball, forget how to hit. And if you look even at last year, he had a slump that was even deeper than this in July. And he also slumped coming out of the gates. And I don't know, he's creeping back up. I would say like the at-bat quality has looked a lot better. And it's 26 games. What are the next 26 going to look like? I would venture to say they're going to be a lot better, but he certainly dug himself a hole. At -6 Fangraphs wins above replacement right now. He was at plus 4.8 last year. So even if you have a good rest of the season, you've still started now at a negative position. So it's going to, he's likely to not have a great season overall because of the significance of his struggles so far. So there is that, but also I would expect him to get hot, and who knows, maybe he does like get to his numbers because it is just 26 games, and I am seeing with my eyes like much better at bat quality. There's still some swing and miss, but there's always been swing and miss with his game. So that's not really anything shocking. It's just the extra base hits stand out. He has 4 doubles, no triples, and 1 homer. So 5 extra base hits out of 21 hits in 117 trips to the plate, just 5 extra base hits. So that's, you think of Jung-Hoo Lee, who's got almost 20 extra base hits. We'll see him. And I mean, this is a guy who hit 32 homers. He's hit no fewer than 24 homers every year since 2021. And he's got 1 this year. So this is a 20 plus home run hitter. He's got 1 so far. All the projections have him hitting about 20 more this season. And so he'll get hot, and I'm not concerned. The one thing is the defense. But to me, I just think that's going to improve. I don't see any reason why he's just suddenly not good defensively. And also what I've seen with my eyes is, it's been shaky at times, but he's also had some tough plays, and he's also made some really good plays. So I think the jury is out for me on his defense, and I expect it to be at least fine, not bad. So, and plus the impact he's brought to the clubhouse has been huge and kind of immeasurable in the numbers. So anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, I'm Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter or X at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much. So thank you in advance, and thanks to everyone who's done so already. Have a great weekend. Can't wait to be with you again on Monday. Thanks again for listening. You are now Locked On Giants.